Hello everyone, thank you for attending today's intermediate level agent training for the kvCORE product. My name is Lauren, I am a success coach here at Inside Real Estate, and I'll be taking you through today's training. Our goal is to expand upon the knowledge that we have already provided with our beginner agent training and expand upon the foundation that was already laid, as well as with other training resources that you might have already looked through. So I might not be focusing on the exact same tools or features that you've already read about or that I've already talked about in our beginner level, but I'm going to expand upon how to utilize kvCORE to the best of your ability. I'll be focusing on a few new lead generation avenues, new ways of marketing yourself out to your leads and nurturing them. And we're going to focus a little more on the actual website that comes along with the kvCORE dashboard. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. And you should see the dashboard section of my test account here. Now, everything in the dashboard was more or less already talked about in our beginner level training. I do want to remind everyone of your support resources and training knowledge base avenues. So just remember that these are here for you to utilize. This is kind of your first go-to or your first defense when you have questions or issues or need some further training for certain tools, features, sections of the account. The dashboard, I wanted to remind everyone the importance of today's summary. This box right here, it shows you your lead activity. It will pop you in and out of your calls and your tasks list. And in this calls list here, you'll notice that there is the ability to snooze or call. So I just want to demo this really quick for everyone. If I snooze a call that I have coming up, it will disappear from this list and it will move it to the upcoming call section. You'll see right here. If I choose to call the lead, it will pop up with this call now box. I will choose the phone number that they have available and I will click call. As a reminder, this call feature within the kvCORE account is going to call your phone number that's in your profile. So remember that that will ring first. You have to pick it up and then the system will call the lead. If you already contacted your lead from your office phone or your cell phone and didn't choose to call through the dashboard or forgot, or you didn't have the dashboard available to call from, or if the lead coincidentally called you first, you can click this call button and actually log the call instead of having the system call and connect. So you would choose whether it's an inbound or an outbound. You would put notes in here, and if it was an outbound, you would click contacted, not home, or bad number. And that way the system can log with a date and a timestamp your communication and help. And this is how you and your system work together, because the system is going to create a list of calls for you to do and to notify you to call the lead if it does, if the lead takes some certain action or performs one of our hot behaviors. If you aren't logging your contact with your leads at all or incorrectly, the system is going to try to get you to contact them more often or not as often as it should. So this is where you need to kind of work in tandem with your system. The system will work on your behalf for you, but remember that in the end, it's not artificial intelligence. It's not something that can work completely for you autonomously. You do have to come in here and set up the settings properly and do your due diligence, because you are the human at the end of the day using this tool. It's not something that can just run on forever without you. Just keep that in mind. Same thing for the tasks list. You're able to snooze them and they'll come up in your upcoming section, or you can click done. It will automatically mark it as done. So it's very simple. One or two buttons, depends on if you're closing or snoozing a call or a task. It's very easy to do. You're also able to do so under this notifications icon. You can snooze or call from this drop down as well. You can also mark it done right here. What I also wanted to point out is the website. So we're going to jump into my test website. And I kind of want to go over a few items. Some agents are very website centric or very website focused. They're very familiar with what it looks like. They market out their domain name or their subdomain name. They have it edited and tweaked and personalized to how they want it. So if you're not like that, this would benefit you. This might be the first or fifth time you've taken a look at this, but you haven't really explored it. I would definitely suggest to explore it, get used to it. If you have a test lead, like I recommended in the beginner training to set up, if you have a test lead set up, definitely come in here and kind of fool around with it as a consumer so you can get used to the look and the feel of it. So we're not going to focus on every single aspect of it, but I did want to show you guys this first page. It has your information in a search bar right here. It has a title if you've entered one, and your search boxes for specific listing types. It has these listing carousels is what we call them, or listing feeds. It showcases our listings, so this is the offices or brokerages listings that you're set up under. It has just listed properties and also has just reduced properties. You are able to change what the listing carousels are displaying in your website settings section, which I will touch on in the advanced training session. But there are ways to kind of tweak what the feeds are showing. Also, your latest blog posts and the SEO areas that are set in your Web and IDX tab, which I'll touch on later. Up here at the top are menu tabs. So this cell tab, when you click on it, or when a visitor clicks on it, it's going to take you to your home valuation page. You're able, the visitor is able to enter an address and get this estimate. If they're already logged in, they see it right away. If they're not logged in, they will be prompted to register, and then they will receive their estimated value. Please note that if they follow up with you saying this is outrageous, it's very high or very low, or you test it and you see the amount is way off or not exactly what you would have estimated it or what a professional estimated it, this is a computer-generated estimate. There's also a little disclaimer stating that. So we suggest them to contact you as their agent if they have an issue with the price. You should always back that up if someone is disputing the price that we display, that we estimate. It's computer-generated. That is why we tell them to contact you as the agent to complete a very thorough and in-person walkthrough, and you should use that opportunity to offer your services as a professional person and in the real estate agent in the real estate industry, and you can offer your services to them to get an actual legitimate estimate. Okay, just keep that in mind. This graphic right here, this is a generic graphic. It's our default. It cannot be edited. It might not always show your area. It is simply a static example of what the downloadable PDF CMA looks like. The other drop downs underneath your agent include your profile information. So when visitors click that, all of the profile information that you have in your profile in kvCORE is going to appear on the website. So definitely go in there and check it out. Make sure it's all correct. If you have any social media links or profiles linked up, they will appear up here as little social media icons. If someone needs to call you, they will have your cell phone number. If they want to email you, they actually literally have to click on email me and it will pop open a blank draft in their email. Or they can use our system, our messaging system within the website in kvCORE to send you a message. And that's going to show up as a question on your activity feed and the leads timeline in their record. The next drop down will be our listings, or if you have entered your MLS ID, which is in your profile settings, which I highly suggest if you have not already put it in there, put it in there, because it allows us to grab your personal listings from the MLS and display them on your website. So this page, if you have your MLS ID in there, it will say My Listings, and this page will actually showcase your properties that you have available. If you don't have it in there, it's just going to display your brokerage's listings. Much better to enter your MLS ID. We're Hiring is a recruiting page that the admin has access to enable. So it's possible that this shows up as a default because the company office or team settings for their website above you filtered down onto yours. There is a way to add or remove this on your website in website settings, and then also this blog tab is going to take you to a list of your blog posts. Mine was very well thought out. But it will also show all of your other blog posts that may appear down here. On the very, very bottom right, it allows you to search a blog or search for a blog post, and it also will give you or give the visitors a little snippet about you and take you to your blog page as well if they click on the number of posts. Let's see, any questions? Nope. Okay, we're going to move right along. So that's a little bit about the website. I would definitely suggest to go in there and fiddle around with it if you haven't already. We're going to move on over to the Smart CRM. Now, I know we went over the Smart CRM in depth during our beginner training because I wanted to make sure everyone was familiar with how to work with your leads. It's the most important part of the system. But I also wanted to show you some other things within the Smart CRM as well and kind of stress them or point them out if you haven't noticed already. So underneath Quick Actions, which will follow you around as you work through your account, you have this Add Note and this Add Contact. In your Smart CRM specifically, you also have this green Add Contact button. Sorry, I can't speak. Add Contact from Quick Actions or the Add Contact from the Smart CRM will get you to the same pop-up. You will fill in their information. You have to click yes for permission to contact them. Choose anything that you need to enter into the leads record. You can CC your lender with a note or not, and assign a lender straight from here if you don't want it to default to the lender that you may have in your profile. You also have this validate data toggle down here. Now, quick note about validating data. You will always have the data validated for leads coming in from outside sources like registering on your website, if you have Zillow, Realtor.com, Homes.com, HotPads, etc. hooked up, any outside source. The only time you get a say in when the data is validated is when there is a mass import. So if you have a bulk upload to do that you send to us or that you do yourself, you have the option to toggle it on or off, and you have the option to toggle it on or off in this section when you manually add a lead one by one. I don't ever suggest to toggle this off because what lead validation does is our system takes the information that is entered, so the name, email, and cell phone number, and it scrapes all publicly available info online to see if there is better contact info, if there is a better name that matches it, if there's any social media profiles out there matching it. If there's anything at all that we are able to follow up with you on or change or suggest to help you get in better contact with the lead, we're going to pull it in for you. I can't think of one circumstance where you would want to toggle validation off. Even if you're adding in a family member or close friend, you don't know what they have online potentially. And it might be able to scrape information that gives you a better idea about your family member or friend. It gives you another avenue into their life so that you can contact them, build an even closer relationship with them. Validating data cannot hurt, so why turn it off? So I'd always suggest to toggle it on to blue and then click add contact. Validating data will happen automatically. You don't have to do anything else besides that toggle. And let me search for a specific one. It's going to look like this. So validation run is going to be a date and time stamped note. And up here, this little shield icon, if it's yellow, that means validation has been run. If it's gray, it means it has not been run. So let me go back to my main lead list. I thought I had found validation for her, but apparently not. Let me come in here, and this is what an expanded validation run note. So with Carlina, it shows you what it looks like when we don't find anything. It just says no validation run. With validation, when we do find something, it's going to show you all the information that we found in this note. We found a LinkedIn profile. We found the location. We found her gender, in case you couldn't recognize it from the name Tatiana. And more details will be filled out as well. So if we find anything that we can update in here, we will. The number and the email might change. The name might change if we find a better one. So with the previous lead where it said Carlina Brunella, that was part of the email address, and it pulled in the name from the email address. Because again, trying to be very helpful and help you. If we run validation and say, hey, there's a name associated with this email that fits a lot better, we would use it instead. You're always able to edit this information, but what we found originally will always exist in this note in the leads timeline. Now, since we're in a leads record, I wanted to show you how you can filter for activity. So with Tatiana, if I need to come in here and let's say it's been a while, we've been emailing back and forth, she's favorited a lot of properties, she's requested a couple of showings, I can come in here and actually search for specific activities or texts or questions or notes, anything pretty much, I can filter in here. If I'm not quite sure what to filter for, I don't remember if it was an email or a text or just maybe a note I wrote myself, you can actually come over here to this magnifying glass icon and search. You can search a term and you'll actually be able to narrow it down to just the note or notes that has that term in there. So let's say that I was emailing back and forth, or at least I thought I was emailing back and forth, but for whatever reason, when I filter for what I thought the communication was and I can't find it, I can say, you know what, it's just a lot easier, just search showing or a listing address or a listing number, and I can just find our communication and go from there. So it's very helpful. Let's say I'm going to add a campaign real quickly to showcase this. Let's say that there's a smart campaign added to a lead, and you see this future touch points link right here. If you click it, it's going to take you to each message that's part of that smart campaign and show you what it will send. Now you're able to click this trash icon right here to completely delete this touch, because I know that either I already answered this question, it doesn't apply to this lead, or I just want to edit it myself and send her out something more customized. I can't go back in and change it in the smart campaign because maybe this is sending out later today or tomorrow, and I just don't have time to change the campaign, or I don't want to because it's only just this one lead I need to change it for. I can just delete it. And it's not going to remove it from the smart campaign itself, and it's not going to remove it from any other leads. Just Tatiana will not receive that template.
Yeah, that's cool. Thank you.
You can also delete any custom added notes. So if I come in here and I save this, uh-oh, I don't know where that note is. I'm so far up in the future, I can't see my note. I'm going to come over here to the refresh button. It's going to take me right down to the latest note. And because it's a custom note, I can edit it, or delete it. So you have a lot of options in here with when it comes to controlling and organizing your data and working with a lead. We try to make it as expansive as possible so that you guys aren't lacking for anything. If you do have an idea or a feature request, definitely shoot it over to support. There is also an ideas portal that is agent facing, and you can request that from support, so you can go to it whenever and just log all of your ideas to your heart's content. You're also able to upvote others that have added, and your idea that is added can be upvoted as well by others. So it's a great little back and forth. Our product team does look at it regularly, and the most voted features or the most desirable features or things that we can either easily get out or that we think will greatly supplement what we already have will get taken into serious consideration. The next section I wanted to show you is the Alerts tab. So in a lead's record, you will see their search alerts. So all of their criteria, if they're a buyer that they're looking to search with, is contained in their Alerts tab. You can see offhand on the left what if they have any alert set up. You can't edit it in this section. You have to go into the Alerts specific tab. You can see whether it's inactive or active, and you're able to edit it. So if I click into here, I can actually say they're looking for a single family. The area is going to be specific town. Interior features, maybe? Okay, let's just do this. There we go. Let's say that they told me that they want the HOA fee to be exactly $161. Or if they said they want pets allowed, you can put it in here. So let's say no restrictions. I can add in others as well. So let's do another one. Let's do parking. They definitely want 2-car detached. They don't really care, but you know as an industry insider that detached is a lot more common than attached, so you're going to make that call for them on their behalf. If for whatever reason it doesn't work for them, you can remove it as easily as I just did. You can select other options, so they definitely want a pool. You can set all this other criteria. You know that they want it immediately. They're hot and ready to get into this buying market, so they want everything as it comes up to be the first ones in line. This particular lead, Tatiana, has a husband that she's also shopping with, so I'm going to CC him on these email alerts. I can add him as a contact record and have him as a second lead, but it's a lot easier and more efficient on my end to just CC him and then to add his information into the spouse section. He doesn't really care. I deal more with Tatiana. I occasionally talk to him. I have his contact info, but Tatiana is kind of wearing the pants in this situation. So I can CC him. And then when I save this, I have two options. I can save and not send the currently matching properties on the MLS, or I can save and send, which I'm going to do now. And now when I refresh back to the previous page, you can see that it's active. And if there's any properties currently on the market that match their criteria, they'll show up here. So there's no recent results. There's nothing to send them. So I'm actually going to come here and I'm going to remove the keyword, and they're pretty solid about pool, but they want a different area as well. Come on. They want not just Warwick Town, they want Warwick area. So we're going to do this as well. And then we're going to add area, Warwick Town. And notice this is OR criteria. So either area is going to get searched for matching listings. If you add keywords, it works off of AND criteria. So in either Warwick area or Warwick Town, it's going to search for a property that has hot water as natural gas, and it's going to have additional fees of, let's do $1,200 capital fund. It's going to search for properties in either town or either area with both of these if I save it. I'm using that as an example, so I'm not going to save it like this. Come on. Hot water. I'm going to unselect it. Okay. So we're going to just save it with this, and we're going to click Save and Do Not Send. And any matching properties up here will show. So you can kind of fiddle around with it. You can choose a criteria if they're pretty flexible. If they're not flexible, if I couldn't change anything, then they're just going to have to wait until something comes on the market, and then they'll instantly receive it. If there were recent results and I saved and did not send, I could go back if I wanted or needed to and email or text them the currently matching property. So save and do not send doesn't mean they're never going to see the currently on market properties. You can go back and send them if you need to. Let's see. Any questions about this? Doesn't look like it. Okay. We're going to hop on out of the leads record and go into listings. So I went over a lot of basics in our beginning training for listings, but I wanted to point out two other sections within listings. You're able to manually add a listing using this option here. So if you have pocket listings or special condition listings, you can manually add them and they'll show up on your website. It's a great way to supplement the active listings that we're pulling from your MLS. In a listing details section in your kvCORE account, underneath more actions, there is a listing flyer option. So if you click on more actions and come to print flyer, it's going to take you out to that flyer and generate it for you so you can preview what it looks like. It's a great marketing tactic. You can actually work this as a mailer after you print it out. Because we don't have that functionality within kvCORE, you might want to work it in tandem with the export option in Smart CRM. So export all of your leads, filter to see who has an address, and then send out this listing if it matches them. Very nice, well put together. You can't edit this because just like with the behavioral automation, we've spent a lot of time and research on this, and this gets the best response rate. So this is what it would look like. I think it looks beautiful. If I receive this in the mail, especially if you print it out on like glossy printer paper, oh, it would look beautiful. Also back in here, you have these different tabs that showcase different information. So the gallery will show you all of the pictures for a specific property. The map will show you the location. This is Google Maps, so if anything's off, please let us know, but we might not be able to change it because we do pull this directly from Google Maps. I have had 3 instances, one of which was on kvCORE. The other 2 were actually on separate programs, separate websites, not related at all to Inside Real Estate, where Google Maps had the address completely located incorrectly on their map, and it was really funny. If you reach out to Google, they'll update it pretty immediately, but it's just really funny because even Google gets stuff wrong sometimes. It's also going to show you similar listings and nearby listings, which I love because if I were an agent, I would be using this all the time. If I'm with a lead or a potential lead and they are really, really, really interested in this one property, but it's off market or there's a better offer on the table and you know just because of your experience they're probably not going to get it, Or if they come to you and say, hey, I like this property, but I'm not that interested in it because of A, B, and C, or because of money or whatever. I want to see other listings that are similar or other listings in the neighborhood. Or if you just know offhand you should give them that list of similar or nearby listings, come in here and let the system work it for you. You don't have to spend 3 hours or so of one day or 3 hours a day for 2 weeks manually creating that list, pulling information from the MLS and putting it into an email or making a list on Notepad. You don't have to do that anymore. You can come in here. You can come down here to the list that is already populated for you. You do kind of have to look into each one. You might open these up in different tabs and kind of look at the criteria and see if it matches. But the list is generated for you, and when you settle on what addresses to send them, you just simply check them off, and you can email them or text them straight to one person or to a group of leads under a hashtag, or you can add it as saved properties. Most of the time you won't be using that, so don't really worry about it. I'm not going to really go into it. But emailing them to or texting them to a single lead that would be interested that's asking you, or to a group of leads that underneath a hashtag. The cool thing about emailing it or texting it to a group underneath a hashtag is that if you filter in your smart CRM by criteria and find 5 leads that are looking for the same type of property in the same area, the same amenities, etc., you can come in and make this list and send it to all 5 at once. You don't have to double your efforts in 5 different times. And you actually can just say, hey, I was spending some time looking at this for you and researching it, and I came across these properties I'd really like. They don't need to know that you only spent like 20 minutes really looking at this and clicking on the list. They're going to say, wow, this realtor spent who knows how long creating this for me, because they don't know what you're doing. And they're going to feel so appreciated and so nurtured that the relationship is only going to deeper. So your 20 or so minutes, probably even less, of time spent emailing this group of leads or one lead is going to exponentially create this wonderful, deeper relationship for you with them. And they'll become better referrals in the future. They'll close faster. There's no telling what will happen off of this tiny little seed of effort that you've planted. So I love this personally. And then if it's your own personal listing, you can actually view the activity. So if you have this listing and you want to see who's viewed it, when it was added, has anyone called or emailed about it, things like that, you will see a list of leads that you have that have actually come in here and searched it and looked at it, possibly favorited it on your website, and you can reach out to them. So it's a great way to mine your personal database for based by specific listing. You might use this less than the similar and nearby listings, but it's a great thing to just pop in for 2 seconds on a listing or like a 5 listing list that you have and just see how many of my leads that I already have shown interest in this, and can I just reach out and ping them real quick about it if do they want more information. Let's see, any questions about this section? Nope. Okay. Moving right along to the Marketing Autopilot tab. This is going to be where your your smart campaigns are located. You can spend as much or as little time on smart campaigns as you need to or want to. I always suggest coming in here and setting up at least 1 to like up to 5, just depending on sources and types of lead. So you know where you're getting your leads from. Is it paid marketing? Is it Zillow, Realtor.com, Hotpads? Is it just people on your website? And are you working with buyers or sellers? Do you have specific messages that you want to send to specific types of leads. You know all that. You might not know it all off the top of your head as I'm listing all of this, but you do know it. And if you set aside a good 30 minutes, just come in here and think, which I know no one likes to do, but this 30 minutes of thinking and this effort is going to pay off a lot down the road. Because once you set this up, you can walk away from it. And the only reason you'd ever have to come back is if you realize you misspelled something, or if you realize that message isn't getting a great response and we're going to change it or delete it. You really, really can use this automation to have the system work for you, and then you don't have to worry about following up with everyone as often as you probably currently are. So we're going to go over this section a little more in depth. In the Smart Campaigns tile, this is where you're going to see all of the canned messages. We call them templates. And this is also where you're going to see your personal library as well as our library of default Smart Campaigns. So if you come in here and you're thinking and you realize, I don't really have any bright ideas. I know my criteria of who I'd want to send things out to, but I have very vague ideas. I don't know any specific things I would send them. Go into our system campaigns with our list of defaults and see how they're set up and get ideas. We also have in our template section, which I'm going to focus on first because templates are the body and Smart Campaigns are the structure. So what's actually getting sent out to them, what the lead is actually receiving, they don't see how you set up. They don't know that they fit a certain type of criteria or status or whatever. All they're going to know and see and read are these templates. So we're going to focus on them first. You want to make sure that these are good. So we split them up into different sections: email, text, calls, and tasks, because you can include a to-do in your Smart Campaign. And we have a huge list of different template types. So these are our defaults. You can totally use them or you can set up your own. If you do use one of them, you would want to clone them, which is also how you can see what they're saying. You would rename it to something that you remember, or you would rename it with the action item. So if I wanted this, let's see, interested in seeing what's available nearby, offer for nearby props. Oops, let's actually type this out correctly. Monthly market reports. This includes signature box right here is going to pull in your customized signature in your profile. If your box is empty, uncheck it. Otherwise, it will not go out with anything. You can enter in merge tags, which I explained in our beginner training. This is going to automatically fill out with the content between the brackets. So when I send this to a lead, it's actually going to say my first name and last name. It's not going to have this HTML here. When I clone this template, it's added to my template library. Notice that the default message that I cloned is still available, so I can still use it if I want to go back and just maybe tweak it. But I'm going to find the template that I just created. Watch, the system is going to save it. Let me refresh. Sometimes you do have to refresh for it to pull the changes. Let's do this. Props, yes, okay. And notice that this has now edit and a delete button next to it. All of the system defaults that we offer have just the clone. Once you save it and edit it, you now have two other options. So I can come in here and I can change it. If I absolutely hate it, I can delete it. But now this is available for me to use as a touch point in a Smart Campaign. Same idea exists with text messages and calls. So I want to tell myself to call and leave a voicemail for the leads that have the Smart Campaign. So I'm going to clone it. I'm just going to leave copy just to make it easy on myself. And tasks. Let's see. Campaign is ending. It's a good one to use because you can set it as the very last action on the very last day of your Smart Campaign to tell you, oh, I need to check on that lead, follow up with them, make sure I know where they are in my pipeline, and possibly put them on a new drip campaign or restart this current one. If you look through all of our templates and don't find anything that you like, you can come over to Add Template. You can create your own from scratch with any of the 4 actions. You can come in here and create your own text message. I'm fine with my 3. So now that I have my templates, I'm going to come back to Campaign Library. Now I'm going to set up the structure. So I already have my body built. Now I need to structure it and how and when and who I want to send out to. So you can choose one of our system campaigns. I'm actually going to add my own from scratch. I'm going to start when the lead is new from my website. Or I can choose to not have a start trigger, which means I have to manually add this to leads if I want them to receive it. These trigger options are going to tell the system when to automatically do this for you. This is great if you have messages or calls or tasks to do that you want to be automatically applied to a very general or broad range of lead types. You can get very specific, however, so if you have a specific source or specific type of lead that you have coming in that you want to be very, very careful with your nurturing, so like if you have a luxury listing leads that might be a little high strung or need more maintenance, you can create something but not have a start trigger so that you are responsible for going in and manually adding them. This isn't to take away from the fact that where I just said all this praise about the system, you can set it and walk away from it. It's not to take away from that. That's mainly how you and the rest of our agents use it for. But we do include this option for when you don't want the system to be automated for you. Because you are the human, you're the brains behind using the tool. If you know that the system isn't going to tell exactly when or who to apply a campaign to, you can stay in charge of the whole thing if you want to. I have a very general, so I'm still going to say new leads from my website and click next. I want it for buyers. I'm going to name this campaign and give myself a description. This description is going to be used to remind yourself of why you created that campaign. You can have campaigns for miles, but if you don't remind yourself of why you created it, it's not going to help you organization-wise. You won't be able to come in here and at a quick glance know what campaign is for who. You can share it with your fellow agents or not. You can have it set to always run or not. And you don't have to worry about locked, because if you don't share it with anyone, regardless of whether you share it with anyone, you're always going to be able to edit it, so don't worry about that. Once you click next, you're going to be taken to the 4th step, which is review and add. So it's going to show you a list of all the criteria that you've set up, and you can accept it and click add. And once you've added it, it will display in your library list. You can toggle it on or off. So if you want the campaign to be paused or turned off for a minute, you can. If you want to turn on after a couple of days, you have that ability as well. You have an overview of each campaign and its criteria. And if you click on the name, it'll take you to the edit section. So once you've added a campaign, you've set up your trigger, you've set up your criteria, all of this, you still have to go in and add the actions. Because remember those templates I just created, I cloned? I want to come in here and associate them with this campaign now. Because right now they're 2 different things. I have my criteria set up and I have my messages set up. I haven't told the system to connect those 2 dots. So we're going to come in here. If I need to, I can clone it or remove it or edit that criteria that I just set up. Coming over here, this page in the beginning is going to be blank. I'm going to click Add Action. Now this is kind of different from our templates, because in the templates you only had email, call, text, and task. Now you have the option to include a status, and you have the option to include a hashtag. So there's more expanded abilities in here. I'm going to keep it very simple. I just want my email. Let's see, what did I change it to? Props. I want my email to come in here. I can preview what it's going to look like if I can't really remember. And I'm going to have it be from me to my lead. I have more options. So let me add this. I want it to go out immediately. So run immediately is as soon as this campaign is applied to someone, this template goes. Now that I think about it, I want it to go out a couple of days after. So I'm going to say a week out, it's going to be added. So now, day 7, this template is going to be sent from the system on my behalf to my contact who has this default seller campaign added. And now they're going to receive an email that looks like I spent all this time and effort writing especially for them. And they have no clue it's getting sent out 15 other times, 15 other people. They all think I spent the time to personally contact them, which is the point. We're kvCORE and its platform and the system and the automation is trying to deepen that relationship with them and make sure that leads are feeling heard and feeling communicated with and know that you're there for them whenever they need. Even if you're at a showing when this message goes out. You're able to edit each action or remove each action if you need to. And if you have a task, you can come in here. And actually not immediately. We want to send it to days. And let's say the last day of my campaign is 50 days out. Oops. Follow up. Add it. And let's get rid of these because that's my last day. And voila. I have 5, 7, 15, 25, 50. So this is all going to go out without me having to worry about it. I'm going to set it and walk away, and we're all good. The more you use it, the simpler and easier it will get to work with your templates and Smart Campaign setup. I know it's a lot to take in all at once, especially when we go through things fairly sequentially and not pause. Come in here, set up a couple of test ones. If you have a test lead or two, assign yourself, set up a custom one or assign one that you've cloned and see how it's working with you as a test lead so that way you can start tweaking things. This is, along with our lead generation landing pages and squeeze pages, Smart Campaigns is the #1 tool in here. Like I think it trumps our lead gen tools because it's more expansive. You can do way more things with it. And once you generate those leads, you have to have some way to connect with them and nurture them. So Smart Campaigns, in my mind, #1. Doesn't have to be as complicated, like I said. The messages don't have to be paragraphs. They can just be a couple of sentences. They don't have to go into depth on every single topic underneath the sun. You do still need to leave room for yourself as an agent to be there for them and answer questions. So use a call to action. Ask them leading questions so that when you get your feedback, you can follow up in person. So kind of use these templates that you set up and these Smart Campaigns as first steps or even second or third steps, but set yourself up to be contacted and be able to step in as the knowledge insider. Now, speaking of lead gen tools, I am going to focus on a couple of items in your lead engine tab. Let's see. Can I get just a yes or a no for anyone who has gone in and looked at the CMA Builder tile? Just 2. Okay. Good enough. We're going to jump into the CMA Builder tool. And this is great for if you don't have access to a different tool. This goes along with the cell tab that I mentioned earlier. This does take this goes along with our cell tab because the estimates might be off. We pull sold data from public county courthouses and records and any publicly available data online. We do outsource this to a third party, So if there's any issues with this, it might take a little longer for us to wrap up and follow back with you because we do have to go to them. But keep in mind of where we get our content. We can't get sold data from MLSs. It's just not part of our contract. They hardly give it out to people who aren't realtors anyway. They are notorious for having a very bad relationship with public county courthouses and releasing little to no records at all, just because they completely have the option to do it or not do it, and they don't spend a lot of time doing it, even if they have opted into it. So keep that in mind. This is a tool for you to use to get you into the door. So this isn't going to be one and done, send this off, and if they don't like it, that's fine, move on. Or if they do, then you start the process there. This is a wedge between them closing the door on you and not. So come in here. You can prep it for a specific lead. This is a free form field, so it's not going to automatically search for a lead. You'd actually have to type it in here. You'd enter in their property address, and then you click Build CMA. And it's going to show you a nice little PDF that you're able to download and send off to them. It's very similar to the print flyer option, the way it's set up. I'm not sure if this will, let's see. I don't think this is going to let me on this particular property. I don't think, I've tried it before and there's no sold data. I think it was sold, I think it's still in the family that owns it. So it's a friend, and I think their family still owns it. So this would be reaching back years and years. But this is basically the idea. You would put in the property address, put in the name of who it's prepared for, because it is going to include that in the CMA, and then you can send it off to whomever you need to. It's a great little tool. I don't really have good stats on how many agents use it, how many use it versus how many who don't. But if you do use CMAs in your day-to-day business, we do have this option here. If you haven't already imported your leads, definitely take advantage of the bulk import here. And if you have already imported your leads, take use of these two apps. Millions Mapped, if you click on this, it's going to take you to the link of where you can download it on Google Play or the App Store. This kind of helps you monitor your contacts' searches more. We track everything on the website as much as possible. Millions Mapped is kind of a way for you to say, hey, I have an app here, go download it, and blah, blah, blah. There is a mobile version of your website that you can send them to, but if you like being able to say, I have an app, you are able to send them the Millions Mapped, and they can download it, and they will be able to search for listings just like they would on your website. They can see statistics, and you'll be their number one contact for anything that they see. Now, the Open House app is pretty new. I really like it. Looks very fancy. And this is to use if you have an open house. It's a very, very easy and modern, fresh way of collecting the open house visitors' information. And it syncs directly to your kvCORE account. So anyone who enters their information in here, you will get as a contact in your Smart CRM, along with all the information that they've entered, along with any notes that they've entered. There's a little survey that asks a couple of questions if they're working with another agent, things like that. That will all be logged for you. You can use it on a tablet or a phone, as here, and you don't have to use paper and pen to list out all the information in those open houses if you're still doing that. You also don't have to walk around and ask everyone for their information and type it into your phone or manually add a contact person by person. You can just have them fill it out here. It's very short and sweet and to the point, and you get all the info. So it's hardly any effort, if any at all, for big rewards. Okay, perfect. So, Ashley, I'll be following up with you. Any questions? looks pretty good. Both apps work on Android and Apple, so it doesn't matter what type of phone you have. We all have different phones in the developers team and the employees and inside real estate in general, and we've all tested both apps. They work very well on all types of phones. I have a Google phone. The developers use Apple, and then we've had some Android users test it as well. So all works great. Speaking of the website, even though I only just mentioned it like 2 seconds ago, the Web and IDX tab is where we're going to end this webinar. And I'm going to show you some content tools of how you can flesh out your website and get some original content on here. So this website content box has quick links for you to go to custom pages, service areas, and testimonials. You can also go to site content here, and it'll get you the same list. So I'm going to go to site content. And you're going to see a couple of different things. You'll have testimonials, where you can add your reviews. Short, sweet, simple, to the point. It's going to show up on 2 places in your on your website. It's going to show up on its own testimonials page, as well as filter or scroll through your added reviews on the front page of your website. Service areas. Remember how I pointed out on towards the bottom of the website that areas we cover section, and it only had Warwick Town. If you want to come in here and edit that to showcase the areas you focus on, definitely come in here. You can remove all from the list. If you start out with a huge list and you only focus on 5 areas, you can come in here and actually put in keywords to make it easier to find. You can change the display text. So if the MLS name is Warwick Town, but no one calls it that in day-to-day use, you can actually change what it displays as, so people looking for that area will be able to recognize it a lot easier. Save anything that you edit with this green save button, or you can just remove it if you're like, you know what, my business has changed over the last years, leads have gone down, or I don't want to work with leads that want to move into Warwick Town, I'm just going to remove it. This does help a little bit with SEO, as it says in the title. As I stated with blog posts in the beginner level, SEO is this buzzword that everyone seems to latch on to and get really excited about. In reality, SEO takes time and effort. Content needs to be completely unique and always constantly added, and just time. The longer your site is on there with more original content, and the more content that's added over time, is going to help build SEO, especially with Google. Google has very strict requirements for it. And to be honest, you need to be an SEO expert or someone who only focuses on SEO in order to do it properly, or to get any real or lasting or very large benefit. There's a reason that Zillow and Realtor.com are at the top of the Google results list all the time for every search you might look for when looking for homes. There's a reason that Facebook is at the top for social media searches. They have all paid a lot of money to whomever they need to get up there. They also have spent a lot of time and effort and invested even more, and will continue to do so as time goes on, to people whose one job is to do that. They have one job, and this is it. So don't get too caught up with your SEO. You want to use the service areas as a way to tell your visitors where you work. And these are automatically going to link out to little SEO pages on your website. So let me take you back here. And they're going to take the visitor to a little info page with all of the stats and a few listings for that area. And I'm actually on the wrong website, and I see more than just mine. So let me get back to here. There we go, Delaware. So if I edit this, add more, remove it, that will change what it looks like in my areas we cover section, and this is what the pages will look like, specified for whatever area you've chosen. And then custom pages are actually how you can add more content on your site. So blog posts are great because they can be little snippets. If you have a page of text or a longer version of text that you don't want to lose amidst other information, so like blog posts will get pushed down over time as you're constantly generating more content, custom pages will actually display up here. You can enter 2 more custom pages whose titles will appear as menu tabs up here, and then all of your other custom pages will fall underneath our resources. So this will show all of your custom pages. And you can have as many or as few as you want. And it can cover a wide range of topics, just like blog posts can, but custom pages would probably want to have a little bit longer. So if you have any fine print that you are required to display on your website, or as a realtor licensed with your MLS or in your state, custom pages where you'd want to put it. If there are prettily formatted content or text that you want to display in a very nice, in-your-face way, you can do so as well, because it's going to be right up here at the top of your website. Or blog posts, you might have to search for it a little bit. It's its own tab, but it's toward the bottom. Custom pages can be right here. So it's a different way to get content on your site. And then last but not least, just touch real quick on this embeds tab. If you have an outside website that you're keeping hold of, you can actually link it with your kvCORE site by embedding these little widgets that we offer onto that personal site and get visitors over to your kvCORE website. So it's a great way to link the two, and perhaps your personal website that you've had for years and everyone's used to going to it, perhaps it doesn't have a lead capture tool. Well, you can link up the property search widget onto that site, and when they search it, they'll be taken to your kvCORE site where we can then capture that information, and now you have a lead capture tool. And QR codes are great because you can create a QR code for your website or for a specific listing and take that and market it out anywhere. So this is a great little feature that exists in the Embeds tab that you can take advantage of. All right, so this is actually the end of our intermediate level training. Follow-up items. Definitely suggest, if you have not already, to view our top 10 training videos up here. It will expound upon the knowledge that you've already gained through the beginner and the intermediate trainings, as well as any resources that we've offered you offline. If you haven't already, import your leads. I cannot stress this enough. You can test all you want in the system, but you'll never get a real feel for it until you start letting it do its job with your actual real-life leads. So get them in there. We can bulk import them for you, or you can use the tool to do it yourself. Either way, you are able to import them with or without hashtags and with or without search alert criteria. You don't have to set them up on a drip campaign or smart campaign if you don't want to at first. You are able to do all of that retroactively, just get them in there. I would also recommend to go into Marketing Autopilot and preview your smart campaigns. Set them up. Start testing them. It's never too late or never too early to do that. And then customize behavioral automation if desired. I went over that in the beginner training. If you haven't already gone to it, I don't really suggest turning anything off, but if you wanted to go check it out and get a more firm grasp on how it works, perhaps test it a little bit yourself, you can do that as well. But definitely top 10 and lead import. That's what you want to do. It doesn't look like I have any questions so far, so I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen. It was very nice meeting all of you. I hope everyone learned something, at least one thing, from this training. And I will see you guys back here for the advanced training as well. Have a great day.